Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you.
Today in Africa, we see a lot of uprisings, planning for uprisings, plotting for uprisings in several African countries. The events on the African continent, therefore, as predicted much earlier myself, in 2017, I said, before 2020, 13 African countries would have undergone either soft regime change, soft coups, or violent regime change through uprising, which now seem to be real. The signs that and symbols that we see are the real symbols and the signs that more is to come against African governments. What do we do then? There is a new method of changing governments strategically placed in the United States of America by George Soros. George Soros funds civil societies, civil disobedience, civil violence in Africa. It is upon you Africans and African heads of state, wherever you are, as you convene, as you plan to convene next month or before the end of this month in Addis Ababa, to understand the magnitude of this regime change strategy. Many wars are taking place, internal strife, conflicts like the one in Cameroon, Amazonia, like the one in Biafra, Boko Haram, and then in Biafra, like the one in Libya. But the theme is the same. Regime change, uprising. Is it a matter of taking over our resources? You see, the war in Congo has erupted again. Unknown militias have arrived in Congo, restarted the war, and it is going on. All these culminate to one thing. Are we ready to be independent? As I said last week, this week, are people in Africa ready to accept the results of elections? Elections everywhere in Africa are bringing the chaos we see. The people of Africa seem to be divided after elections or before elections. Is Africa ready for elections? Do we need elections in Africa? If so, are we tolerant enough to accept the results? Are we ready? Which method can we use in Africa to make sure that there is hope for the countries, and there is hope, and the future of Africa is guaranteed. Viewers, the High Court in Malawi today or yesterday was hearing a case when the president had already been sworn in. If the president of Malawi has been sworn in, then the High Court is hearing the case. Is that not a disaster, an accident in waiting? Whether this will make us have a peaceful Africa remains to be seen. And may God help us to build a better Africa. Thank you very much.
Today is a great day for the continent of Africa. Today is a great day that marks the historical inauguration of our African unity, the unity that the founding fathers of this continent fought for, the unity that we needed and that we need up to today. It is that unity that propelled us to become independent. It is that unity that gave us, the founding fathers, to unite 57 years ago to form what we call Organization of African Unity, that later on became African Union. Today in Africa, so many things have taken shape. It is unfortunate that today, this year, 25th May, the Africa Day, is being celebrated under the clouds of COVID-19. The continent of Africa has struggled since the formation of African unity 57 years ago. The founding fathers of this great organization, Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, Jomo Kenyatta, Nyerere, Ahmed Sekou Toure, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Milton Obote, Amir Cabral, Patrice Lumumba, Samora Machel, and others who came later on to take up the struggle, Robert Mugabe, Gaddafi, those who struggled to make sure that this continent liberates itself from the colonial yoke, takes its political stand on the world stage. Ahidjo of Cameroon. These were great men of this continent. But today in Africa, on a great day like this 25th, how many people recognize this day? Why has the African Union, our union, that took over from the Organization of African Unity, why has it become a diluted, eroded institution? If the founding fathers of this organization woke up from their graves today and came to Africa to see what is happening on the continent littered with conflicts, a continent littered with countries not speaking to each other, a continent disunited, a continent destroyed by external forces that have taken Africa hostage, that they have taken the African Union hostage, that have created us the suffering that we see in Central African Republic, the suffering we see in Cameroon, Amazonia, the suffering we see in South Sudan, the suffering we see in Mogadishu, the suffering we see in Libya today. What has happened to this continent? I would like anybody sensible in Africa today, including Dr. Muhammad Faki, to tell me, including President Ramaphosa, to tell me how we ended up getting two men in one country fighting over a country that is already dead. Fellow Africans, those watching me, I don't hit lightly. I hit where it matters. When anybody touches Africa, I will not miss my words, because this is where I was born. That is where I have the spirit of Nkrumah, of Sekutore, of Jomo Kenyatta, of Nyerere, to speak the truth. I have no regrets. I can perish. But the French have captured our organization. The French have bought this guy you see on the screen. He receives handouts from the French capital and looks the other way when Africa is bleeding. I'm giving you the real material now. How this man has destroyed us. How Faki from Chad, Jamena, the tall man from the Fulani kingdom of Jamena, has destroyed. That's why he has looked a blind eye on the Igbos and the Amazonians, because he doesn't want to disintegrate the state in Chad. But that is not a problem. We don't want states to disintegrate. But help the people of Amazonia by bringing their motion to the African Union. Viewers, if you look at the problem that we have in Democratic Republic of Congo, it is the French. If you look at the problem that we have between Rwanda and Burundi, it is the French. If you look at the problem that we have between Uganda and Rwanda, it is the French. If you look at the problem that we have in Mogadishu today, and let me tell Kenya to understand me, it's the French. It has come. They have paid the bills for us to fight over the islands of oil. Viewers, let's give hope to our founding fathers. Let's give hope to the future generation. Let's be united as Africans. Together, we shall rise and shine again. Thank you. conflicts in Africa have retarded the development that we wanted after independence. Several African countries are under conflict, starting from Libya, Central African Republic, Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Mozambique to some extent have been under the banner of conflicts and the bleeding children of Africa. The conflict in South Sudan came to a close, to an end, but the solutions are still very far to be achieved. We have not achieved a permanent solution for the people of South Sudan. We still have conflict lingering amongst the leadership in South Sudan. How long it will take for us to have a permanent solution for South Sudan is only upon us Africans to sit down and look at ourselves as to whether this conflict in South Sudan pays us in the Great Lakes region. The Congo conflict also has taken a new dimension, that for the first time, the East African stabilizing force decided to come into place and shape to deliver an East Africa stable out of negative elements of M23 and other rebel forces of ADF and others that are camped in Democratic Republic of Congo. Over 132 rebel groups are on the soil of Congo. How then do we solve this problem of Congo? Don't we boldly state and say, surely Congo needs?
Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you.
Unmute.
Good morning, viewers across the planet, in America, in the United States of Southern Africa, or the United States of America, south of the Capricorn. Good morning, all of you in China, in India, in Australia, those waking up, those going to sleep this evening. This is Punchline Africa TV. Good morning, Europe, United Kingdom, and the rest of Africa watching us live, both from Nairobi and away from Nairobi. Good morning. Thank you very much, viewers across, again, for having been taken interest in our television station. We have always maintained the stand. We've remained the same people. Good morning, Miriam Ogutu in Nairobi, Kenya.
A very good morning to you and good morning to our viewers.
The show this morning is Global, Matsanga's Global Trends. Today we shall look at the Cold War, the effects of the Cold War. Is it a threat to global security? What has happened to globalization? Is it dead? Is globalization at the United Nations Security Council, is it dead? Why has the world been paralyzed by two Security Council members who are on the Security Council, they speak the same language of Security Council. Under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Security Council, America and Russia are signatories, members of the United Nations Security Council, Chapter 7, which is a threat to peace. Why are we having this threat to peace brought by two superpowers on a proxy war in Ukraine? That is what we want to look at, that angle. From that angle, how is it affecting us in Africa? Why is Africa drawn in a war they don't know? That is what I want to discuss this morning. With me on the panel is Elvis Wanda, my in-house analyst, a great friend, historian. He was shocked yesterday that, and he's lucky that Manchester United, what happened? I don't know. You loaded goals to some people and they are not happy. That's why I know Paul Onyango is not happy. Good morning, Paul Onyango first. How are you in Nairobi, Kenya?
I'm good, Dr. Matsanga.
What is going on there, Onyango, where you are, without reference to what I've read in the newspapers and what I've seen on your television through online?
Yeah, I was from town some few minutes ago. It was just normal activities, even though there's a bit of anxiety on the other side of the town.
Okay, anxiety, that is it. I like the way you summarize your things like your drones. You are now a drone, you know Onyango is a drone pilot. So, and people don't know your profession. They think you are just Onyango. You're a drone pilot. Thank you very much, my Mr. Pilot, for the drones. I wish you dropped some in Somalia so that Al-Shabaab can go to the Indian Ocean and we have a better Somalia. The sword of the Damascus has been hanging on Somalia for a long time. Tonight we shall have a very good show, Miriam, and it will be brought live on Punchline Africa TV together on the Twitter space, and we shall bring references, talks, programs. We shall listen to quite a lot. Why Democratic Republic of Congo has these problems. Don't miss this one, Miriam. Just try to tune in, even if it is for 1 hour and you go to sleep. But good morning, all of you. Back to you, Miriam, and good morning, Elvis Wanda. Test the microphone first before we go to Miriam. The topic is very interesting. The topic is, are we under global threat? Is the security of the world under threat? Is the Cold War returning? What has gone wrong? Thank you. Wanda?
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Matsanga. Yesterday we were hammered.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but,
okay.
But I'm very fine and ready for the day.
Yesterday we were hammered, eh?
Yeah, we were hammered 3-2.
Not me.
Manchester was hammered. Arsenal was able to beat us 3 goals to 2.
What a tragedy. What happened? Because me, I thought Manchester was, I told you that today you have worn a t-shirt and it will create problems. Miriam, congratulate Arsenal today, and just let's give our brother condolences and rip Manchester. It's very dangerous. Liverpool is still standing up. I don't know what Onyango thinks about. Onyango, are you Chelsea or you are Liverpool?
No, I'm behind Wesonga.
And you Liverpool.
I'm behind Wesonga. I've been a Manchester fan.
Oh my God.
So I saw the match. I was almost crying.
So we have two losers here. What a tragedy. We have two losers who have come. So Miriam actually comforted their hearts by telling us the news headlines across in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. David Matsanga, all the way from the remote control system of the United Kingdom. And this television is being transmitted live from that angle to you in Nairobi and Nairobi to the world. Thank you very much, Miriam. Take away and do the housekeeping.
All right, so let's start by going through the headlines of Kenya's newspapers. The Star newspaper, KCSE anomalies, MPs, experts demand probe. Inquiries by the Star lay bare secret schemes, schools used for massive cheating. I thought this is something that we had already sorted out, Matiang'i and Magoha. I thought this was something that was behind us, but apparently not. That story is on page 4 and 5. Raila financed by cartels, Ruto says as Azimio heads to Kamukunji, and revealed what U.S. think tanks say of Ruto and Raila August contest, and they're saying there was no clear winner. And then the Standard newspaper, fresh headache for teachers as schools reopen, that you'll find on page 4, 6, and 7. Bring it on. Ruto dares Raila on Kamukunji rally. President says there is no room for intimidation or handshake in spite of threats by opposition to further the narrative that elections were stolen in today's Kamukunji rally. That is on page 10. Chebukati's team faces Masit in election tribunal. That is on page 12. And hope and reunions in Rabbit. That is the Chinese New Year, and I think this year, New Year, I think it's under the theme of rabbit. I don't understand the whole thing, but that is what they've been celebrating now. For some learners, the journey to that A was not smooth. You'll find that on page 3 and 4. Divorce crisis. Kenyan household by marital status. The new data by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Couples are going online and hiring private detectives to spy on each other. It's a lot of work. Page 2, 3, and 4. Was KCSE exam stolen? Questions over high grades. You'll find that on page 10 and 11. Ruto warning as Raila digs over 2022 polls. You'll find that on page 5. And now let's turn our attention to other papers from across the region. The New Times, that is from Rwanda, Germany to return over 900 skulls to Rwanda. And then the main pictorial is President Kagame, First Lady, taking a part in Kigali Car Free Day there. The Punch from Nigeria, banks battle new Naira, shortage ahead of deadline. The Nation also from Nigeria. Millions of Nigerians can't be wrong. Okay. The Daily News from Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF attacks Bora Musango as ruling party puts on notice would-be MP offenders. And then Newsday also from Zimbabwe, mine deaths haunt ED ally. And then The Citizen from Tanzania, Bank of Tanzania governor eager for EAC bank verdict. You'll find that in the Sowetan from South Africa. Job shedding loading. Okay, as ESCOM plans 2 years of blackouts. Now, some very good news there. That is what we have, and some of the front pages of some of the newspapers across the continent of Africa. Doc, back to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam. As we bring in the British newspapers, headlines as it is picked up. A human rights activist killed in Tswani Kingdom, Tswani. The SADC government or governments across SADC are not taking any more chances. They are saying someone has killed the human rights activist who was murdered, found dead. I don't know why African countries are going so brutal on people who talk about human rights, yet we need all of them in the situation of this nature. Okay, the Guardian of Britain says Britain forecast to reach 1 trillion export target 15 years late in wake of Brexit. Aha, why did you leave then? The high pressure grows over tax affairs. There in the UK, they don't leave you, you have to leave. This man did not declare some cents, a few pounds, and they were not declared. He's now losing his job. And things are not very good in London when you don't declare tax. The Daily Telegraph, National Grid ready to pay customers to switch off. Oh my God, this is now very, very interesting. Sunak to rule on former boss over 800 loan deal. Okay, the former boss had the money, but the hunt is they didn't declare the money. So that's very, very interesting. Miriam, I don't know whether someone could follow his former boss and rule whether he should resign or not. How many people in Africa have taken money loans? Miriam, I was surprised that some people in this country in Africa take matters $200. Someone would like to make a lot of noise all over the whole media. Yet what about 800 million? You know, someone can kill you for $200. Surely it is not, it's understandable over nothing. Yet this is what life is. Everybody has a date. Even the World Bank has a date with someone. I don't know where World Bank gets its money to be able. I wonder, have you ever found out where World Bank gets the money? Who gives the World Bank the money? Who gives the World Bank the money to lend us?
It normally gets some of their fundings from these billionaires of the world, persons like the Bezos, the Bill Gates. Some of them are the ones who finance the World Bank.
So that we are being held. George Soros, yes. Warren
Member
Buffett.
countries, additional information, member countries have quotas, assigned quotas.
Yeah. And because it is a subsidiary of United Nations, World Bank, IMF.
Subsidiary of United Nations.
Yeah.
Miriam,
Britain or the institution.
Of late, you have become very academic. Seriously.
That is not
and no, wait. Telling me a subsidiary of UN,
yeah.
UN countries going down and they don't help. Mm-hmm. Then what is the subsidiary for?
You just go and get a loan.
Mm-hmm. Why should you get a loan yet the UN knows you are going down? Let's see. Now UN knows that Somalia needs money to fight terrorism. Isn't it? Why can't Somalia fight, tell people to have a loan, to pay for that loan, and get that loan direct? Then we get more boots in Somalia in order to fight terrorism. So, Miriam, please, my daughter, I warned you about this subject, international relations. You know, and you have gone for it full throttle. But it is a subsidiary. Allah. So what does a subsidiary do? It allows the brother to die, and then he say, come and borrow, even when he knows the brother has no money to repay, isn't it? What do you say?
Yeah, I think there are processes before you give it money. There are things that they have to look at. If you're credit worthy, if you need help. In the case of Somalia, I think Somalia, they give it grants, what you would consider grants, not really loans, because Somalia is really not in a position to, it's not credit worthy. It's not credit worthy. So what Somalia gets is perhaps grants from World Bank or IMF. Yeah.
So why can't if we want to stabilize the world, why can't we give every country grants?
Because that is not sustainable in the long run.
Then why do you give a country debt when it is already indebted?
And some countries will just be lazy. They'll just be going for these grants, I think.
As I have said before, class struggle.
Yes.
Miriam, if we go on here, we might find ourselves quarreling, you and me, over terrible terrain.
It is class struggle, Doc. You're right. It is that, and that is how the international system has been structured.
Yes, which is very bad. That is why, if Miriam, I want to ask you one question here, which I was going to ask in the show. We killed Muammar Gaddafi. We said Muammar Gaddafi had, what did he have? Weapons of mass destruction. I want one country in the world that has kept those weapons. Now that Muammar Gaddafi has gone, is there any country that invaded Libya to show us the weapons of mass destruction? Where are they?
Those countries that were accusing Libyans are the ones who have the stockpiles of those weapons.
Yeah, but we need to see the weapons that they got from Libya.
They did not.
So why did we kill Libya? Why have we made Libya? Why didn't we just say we are going to Libya to take your diamonds?
No,
your oil.
Because Gaddafi's ideas of transforming Africa was threatening this international system. That is the main reason. There's no way they will support an independent Africa. Things has to be the way they are so that the world works in terms of hegemony.
You are becoming an idealist. Miriam, they just killed the guy. Because there is nobody who can prove to me that when they went to Libya, they picked the weapons of nuclear and we have kept them in Paris in the underground. If there is one evidence of that nature, Sarkozy, come with those weapons and we put you on trial. So where are the weapons? They went and bombed Libya. Where are the weapons?
That was a disguise.
There is nobody.
A Trojan horse.
Wanda, why don't you try the question?
Doc, the weapons was a Trojan horse.
A quick question.
Gaddafi was killed. Not even that we had those weapons or whatever. It was just a case of, as Miriam is putting it, to destroy the idea that Africa should be united. Because once you unite the source of your riches, then you open their eyes, their eyes are now opened. Then it becomes a case of the mjinga akierevuka mwerevu anakuwa mashakani. That in this case, the economy of the rest of the world was the one to hurt. If I'm told Gaddafi won the idea of a united Africa. And to them, the riches of Libya and how Gaddafi was moving in transforming the African Union, then it was a case of the light at the end of the tunnel. So they had to cut and to block him to prevent him from getting to the end of this tunnel, because the speed at which Gaddafi was speaking, ensuring that he funds the AU, then that alone was a clear stand. It was clear to the rest of the world that indeed is determined, is communicating, there is an intent. And indeed, he'll be able to achieve it. And therefore, they had to cut the dream short. And therefore, nothing to do with the weapons of mass destruction. It was just a case of cutting short the dream of a united Africa, to which Gaddafi was confirming.
In short, Gaddafi and Libya were collateral damage, isn't it? Collateral damage.
Yeah.
We just destroyed the country. And that is what we have done. And that's what we do in every part of Africa. The French come to destroy countries. If you look at the Democratic Republic of Congo, for example, which is falling in the category of Libya, the French don't want progress made in the peace process led by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the former president of Kenya, who is the envoy for the East African community. So what have they done? They have gone behind the scenes, created a few opposition leaders, given them a platform in Paris to denounce the whole process that Uhuru Kenyatta and the East African Community heads of state are pursuing in preservation and bringing about a peace process, a peaceful democratic republic of Congo. Now you tell me, let's go another area where the world threat to world security. Medium, we have already started. We are on the topic now. The world security is threatened before Onyango comes in. Is Iraq. Show me also the weapons from Iraq. Where are they? Maybe General Powell Collins, the black guy who was the Secretary of State for African for United States of America, went with them in the grave. Where were the weapons of mass destruction that Mr. Saddam Hussein? I'm not saying Saddam Hussein was not brutal. He was brutal. But show us, next time when you want to kill such people, show us the evidence, then we can respect you. Because if you didn't, you see, when you killed Saddam Hussein, when they killed Saddam Hussein in Iraq, ISIS was formed, and ISIS became a global threat security-wise. It has threatened everywhere. Congo, we have ISIS under the ADF of Uganda and the other people that have gone in the bushes of Democratic Republic of Congo. In Somalia, we have elements of ISIS who fled from Afghanistan after United States of America leaving with their pants and the pajamas in their knees. They left in the morning and they left the Taliban to kill people. Is this the foreign policy? Where is globalization? Have you seen the question now? Where is it? Miriam is an expert of the globe.
That's part of globalization now. Yeah, that's why we don't.
Is it dead?
It's not dead. I think that your explanation there just makes you reminds us of how active globalization is. Anything that is happening up there, we don't even know what these nuclear heads look like down here in Africa, but we are affected with any decision one of them up there can make. Can
you wait? Can you listen to the second phase? If you say that is globalization, both America and the United States of America, let me say, and Russia are members of the United Nations Security Council. Mm-hmm. Wait, and that's why I'm saying, where is globalization? The two are signatories to Chapter 7 of the United Nations Security Council, Threat to Peace. Article 40 and 39 and 40 of Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter is very clear. So where is your globalization? Is it dead? They all sit on the Security Council. They all see each other. They have the powerful intelligence systems, satellites, that can show you anything hidden on planet Earth except God. Now, that's all they have failed to show us. Otherwise, if they knew where he was, they would have found him. But look, they sit on the Security Council. And the point I'm making, and the Paul and the Elvis on this television, we want to change how things work. If you look at your national televisions, Medium, it is pathetic. It has become showbiz, not educative. We are doing showbiz. We are giving, cards on red carpet like Hollywood. Yet we don't know how much the cost of the carpet is. What type of television is this in this world? You line red carpet, Hollywood, that you are giving award. What award? You are awarding who? Rewarding who? You see, we have copied the whole thing and brought it. We are part of the confusion of globalization that has come.
Yeah.
And that, no, wait, that is why don't reward me. Just say thank you. Don't give me a big thing to see. Give me the money to put in my pocket so that I can go and buy granules down the road, eat that night. But don't give me a big plaque that you are one of the best what? Best what? Best what? That is colonial mentality of a global trend that creates a threat to security. You are creating stages. You are adding class struggle in stages. If you look at most of the African countries, Miriam, all of them add class struggle to what Jesus did at Capernaum when he fed 500,000 people and then left to go and heal somebody in a village ahead. And we people from Uganda, we found the cramps. We ate cramps at Capernaum. Didn't you eat cramps from Siaya? Didn't you eat cramps from Transoya? Yes, Mr. Wanda, you ate cramps. Did you see Jesus at Capernaum? Were you there when he transformed the 12 loaves? No. Were you there? The people who were on the Sea of Galilee crossing by canoe, did they really see Jesus, or they found the food was left in several baskets and started eating? Can you tell me why there is maram and tamak? That is the subject of globalization now. The Russians and Americans went on tarmac, and the British and the French, they left us Africans on maram. And you call it equality. And the Chinese, is that equality? Where is equality here? You are now telling us to be part of the war in Ukraine, when in the actual sense the war in Ukraine is between George Soros and the Russians. Mr. George Soros took their money and told them he's going to bring Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Kingfisher, King Burger, this KFC, oh my God, tea, coffee, this Starbucks, all this will be in Moscow. He brought sampling ya kuiba, alicon. He conned the money of the oligarchy. He left with that money, went with it up to where? Paris. Banked the money in banks in Paris. If you want to borrow money from France, if George Soros has not given you a go-ahead, you won't get a loan. Your project will be frustrated by one small farmer from Hoima in a country called Uganda, who will petition the European Union to say the pipeline from Hoima to Mwanza is spoiling my bananas. Hello? Am I preaching to somebody in the studio? My sister, do you hear that? Two activists wrote a letter to the European Union, and the bank withdrew the money, the loan that they had given Uganda, citing pipeline is going to destroy the environment. Miriam, you are a Kenyan. Is the SGR spoiling the environment? A light railway running along the pipeline that was going to be built across up to Tanga via Mwanza. The other part of Tanzania becomes very movable. We arrange towns developed. The northern part of Tanzania became an environmental hazard. When did they know it was an environmental hazard? Miriam, I landed the mic by saying Ugandan activists are very active on behalf of East Africa and the world. Have you seen the case in the East African Court of Justice?
It's interesting that Uganda has activists.
Yeah, who have gone on your behalf, not on my behalf. They have gone on behalf of East Africa and laid a case in the East African of Justice in Arusha about GMO.
Yeah, and did you know that Bill Gates has a farm in Uganda where he's been doing all these things?
Can I run away quickly on that? Yeah.
And the European Union is also sponsoring this thing. The European Union is sponsoring this, and they're working with Bill Gates. And they do have a farm in Uganda where they're actually manufacturing the seeds and all that, and they're working together in collaboration with the government of Uganda, which is protecting them. And I'm sure, I don't know if they're here in Kenya, could be.
Uganda has several farms, including the farm for crocodiles.
Yeah, but they do have that particular one for GMO.
No, but why don't you mention the farm for crocodiles? Wanda is getting worried.
I don't know about that.
The farm, honestly, the farm for 600 crocodiles.
Okay. For tourist attraction or for what? For meat?
For
game meat?
For meat, game meat, for human destruction also, because a crocodile, when it eats you, it breaks all the bones. Have you ever seen the bones of a crocodile leaving bones?
Doc, there are really some issues you brought up here that I'm itching to talk about.
No, but even that one is itching. For example, the terrorists. For example, it's not scary.
Yeah.
For example, the terrorists who used to go to Kampala to bomb from Al-Shabaab, do they bomb anymore?
No, we don't hear about them anymore.
Okay, thank you.
So they've been fed to the crocodiles. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know. You can make your conclusion, but I'm not going to repeat the word.
All right.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Bring the itching issues. Crocodiles are there to serve justice to the people of East Africa. If Al-Shabaab can see 80 Al-Shabaabs eaten by crocodiles and the bones are not found, no DNA, will they return? They will not return to play with Uganda.
What about Idi Amin?
No, Mr. Idi Amin went to heaven or hell a long time ago.
But he used the same crocodiles to wipe out people.
This crocodiles seems to be the national
Idi Amin used to take the tongues of people like Onyango. Because Onyango is an expert on drones. Idi Amin would think that you can, if it eats your tongue, he will also make a drone to come and honestly.
Yeah,
he went for Professor Kalimuzo, Frank Kalimuzo, the chancellor of the University of Makerere. He killed him. He went for Benedict Kiwanuka. He killed him. He went for Sam Waholi. He killed him. He went for Lieutenant Matsanga. He killed him. He went for so many people. He went for Namirundu. He killed him. He went for Masava. He killed him on firing squad. He went for Oriem. He killed him. He went for Bishop of Church of Uganda. He killed him. He went for Ofumbi. He killed him. Can I name? Let me name. What do you want me to say?
The wife.
He went for what? Natoro Masava. He killed him. This is my village. Ask Bishop Wabukala, who is my cousin. He has now left your organization called what? East African Community Affairs or East African EEC. So he has left. I told him when he was being given this job, I said, Bishop, you are so nice. You cannot kill a fly. Why do you go to this place? Now he called me and said, cousin, please don't laugh at me. I said, no, you have done your job. It's good you have left your place. I'm still away in London and I will see you later, but you have done your job. You are lucky you came out with your skin without... Go. He said, no, he used to pray every night 4 times, including praying for me. So, Miriam, that is the situation of international conspiracy is there. Is globalization dead? Miriam, answer my questions. Don't take me to issues I raised. Answer them.
No, I actually want to talk about that. Globalization.
Yes.
And
is globalization dead? Yes, let's go. And give Paul Onyango time to try
before
the
Paul
question.
Onyango comes in, perhaps just a very quick definition of globalization. This is the word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations, brought about by cross-border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. And according to the National Geographic Society, globalization is a term used to describe how trade and technology have made the world into a more connected and interdependent place. Globalization also captures its scope, the economic and social changes that have come about as a result. So with that definition, obviously globalization is very much alive and kicking. So the return of Cold War and the threats to global security now. Just a quick introduction. The Second Cold War or the New Cold War are terms that refer to heightened political, social, and ideological, informational, and military tensions in the 21st century. The term is used in the context of the tensions between the United States and China. It is also used to describe such tensions between the United States and Russia, the primary successor state of the former Soviet Union, which was one of the major parties of the regional Cold War until its dissolution in 1991. Furthermore, the term is used to describe tensions in multilateral relations between 2 or more groups of nations. Some commentators have used the term as a comparison to the regional Cold War, and some other commentators have either doubted that tension would lead to another Cold War or have discouraged using the term to refer to any current tensions. But I think one thing is for sure, the world is slowly going back or in the heart of the Second Cold War. So I think we've already started the conversation, so we just continue from what Doctor has already said there and the definitions I've given there. Paul Onyango, has the world returned to the Cold War, and is this threatening the global security?
For me, I may not say it has returned per se, but what I can see is just a replica of things that used to happen in the Cold War times. To some extent, they are, for lack of a better word, maybe they are just inventing new ways of doing the things that used to happen in those early years of Cold War. So the question I would love to pose to Dr. Matsanga about Gaddafi. Before Gaddafi became a reformed person, he called himself an African. He used to call himself an Arab, where he used to drive the Arab agenda. When the other Arab countries did not want his ideas, that is when he called himself back to call himself an African. Now, in early 70s and 80s, most countries faced a lot of instability that some of them were being accused of Gaddafi contributing to military coups in certain countries or assisting other people to oppose a government. So I think Gaddafi just reformed himself after that issue of Lockerbie, where he was accused of assisting or planning to bomb the aeroplane that carried passengers. I think from that international cry that Gaddafi was responsible for the bombing of the plane, he became a reformed man. Then he started calling himself an African. So he started later to be an African when already some bad things had already committed in the world. Now, when we look at what is happening in our country, especially in Africa, the system of ensuring certain leaders are elected that will carry the ideology of certain countries, maybe because they are looking for resources, not really resources, but raw material for their industries back at home. Also to contain the policies maybe that are being advanced by Bretton Woods, such as IMF and World Bank. Some of these institutions, some of the policies that are advancing in the African continent, some have really failed, that they have not materials today for the better part of the centuries. Now, this one is mainly being done to keep us at a particular level where we are not growing. We are only recycling leaders. We are recycling whatever we have cannot grow. Whatever we have cannot feed us. Whatever we have is just problems for begging in exchange of what we have. So when we look at what is happening in the world today, when we look at from the time we had this thing called Corona, the world really changed. It got back to its resetting point. Now, before we could move on again, now we are having Ukraine war that is affecting every part of all the continent. But we are being drawn into the conflict as Africans to be part of it. Yet, we are totally very far from this war. The war is merely between America and Russia. So it is quite absurd that some of the conflicts that we have very far away from our continent, we are being drawn. It affects our day-to-day activities. So what I would really want to urge the African leaders, that they see to it that they are not drawn back to those things that used to happen in the 70s and 80s. Many countries were destroyed. We still have Congo that has never woken up. It is still struggling, and we don't know whether it will ever wake up. So, Dr. You can reply me on the issue of Gaddafi.
Just before Doctor comes in 2003, Gaddafi accepted Libya's responsibility for the Lockerbie bombing, but paid compensation to the families of the victims, although he maintained that he had never given the order for the attack. So he's saying it is Libyans who took part in that, but it was not an order from him, and he did not know what was happening, but he accepted Libya's responsibility. So, Doc, or maybe Wanda.
You want me to reply now? What do you want me to say, Mr. Onyango? That the man was killed under the pretext that he had nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction that could kill the entire world. I have asked a clear question. Excuse me. I have asked like a normal man, human being called Dr. Matsanga. Where are the weapons? Onyango, maybe you send your drone. You know you are an expert of drones. It can go up to Sahara Desert and look for these weapons. We haven't been given evidence of weapons of mass destruction. We destroyed the country. We've left Libyans looking for food, for medicine, for textbooks, for schools, for roads, for infrastructure. We destroyed it. Wasn't that pure envy? If you cannot call that envy, then you call if one terrorist is terrorizing everybody, why don't you go and kill that terrorist? Why didn't the Americans kill Gaddafi? Why did they destroy the infrastructure of Gaddafi? And now they are stealing the oil. The French are stealing the oil through Benghazi port and other ports. They are taking the oil to store back in the underground tankers, which they have built, that in case the war in Ukraine happens, they will have enough oil. They are stealing. These are thieves. What do you call them? Don't you call them thieves? A thief is a thief. The French are stealing the oil of Libya. No, is nobody documenting oil in Libya. Is globalization dead? Isn't it dead? Isn't France a member of the United Nations Security Council? Is a permanent member?
Yes, a permanent member.
Is America not a permanent member?
It's a permanent member.
Is Russia not stealing oil there?
Yes, of course.
Is America not stealing oil there? Is Britain with a prime minister called David Cameron, the former prime minister, who apologized and said, oh my God, oh, I'm sorry. We should have thought twice before killing Libya. Are we also stealing oil?
Of course, BP has been there for a long time.
Thank you. Does that answer your question? You don't need to ask me simple questions. Ask me complicated ones, Onyango.
I was asking you about Gaddafi.
Yes, and I've answered you like that. Are we documenting? No, are we documenting the oil that is getting out of Benghazi? No.
No.
So don't ask me why he was killed. There was even these things were cooked to kill him.
Yeah. It was a camouflage.
Yeah. Thank you.
Camouflage, yeah.
And the one woman and the one man from Siaya who will never also be liked by the world is called Obama. Because he also took part in killing Gaddafi with the woman called Clinton. That Gonya.
That was the American policy, foreign policy.
No, we are coming to the roots. Why are you running away? You brought the question. What I mean, throw it back
but
to you, brother.
It is America's foreign policy for sure. And Gaddafi was a threat. Gaddafi was a threat to their foreign policy.
Miriam, you have jumped in the rescue of Onyango.
and anything that threatens their interests, they will mess up with you, and that's what they did in Libya. Because whatever Gaddafi was standing for and was calling for, that was something that was upsetting the interests of the U.S. and other powers, in the Western world. So whatever it took to get him out, they had to do it. So the issue of mass, Libya having all these weapons, that was a lie. And I think, like you've said, the former Prime Minister of the UK has apologized for that. But they should be held responsible. Because it is from the destruction of Libya that the insecurity started, especially in the northern part of Africa that has spread down now to the Sahel region. So that was the genesis.
So what do we say now? What do we say? Onyango, what do we say? Before we bring in Onyango, are you satisfied with my answer? And plus what Miriam has just said. And Miriam, are you now satisfied that globalization is dead?
No, it's not dead. It's not. Go to the definition of globalization.
You see, my dear.
Yeah.
There are 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. 3 of them, 2 of them are at war.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are at war.
Mm.
The 3, China, Britain, and France. China has taken side with Russia. The 2 have taken side with America.
Mm.
Now, we can proudly stand here and say we still have globalization.
Yes, because globalization is the interconnectedness, the interdependentness of the world with each other. See the way that invasion of Russia to Ukraine, what that did here in Africa. We had a shortage of fertilizer, and then it affected the world price of oil and the accessibility of that. That is the meaning of globalization. When something happens in one part of the world, it affects all of us, whether we are directly part of that problem or not, because of globalization, because the world is interdependent of each other. So globalization's main core is interdependentness and the connectedness, and the fact that the world has become one village, that when something is happening elsewhere, you cannot escape the impact or the effect of that. So globalization is the reason why we're suffering today is because of globalization. We don't have enough fertilizer now. The fuel prices were destabilized and the world market was destabilized. Those are effects of globalization. So the world is interdependent, and that is the core of globalization. So we are very much globalized.
I don't think so, but
that is the definition of globalization.
Yes, globalization is what? But it is not there.
Interdependentness of
That's
the world.
Interdependence,
Yes.
but it is not there. Are we interdependent?
So when
with
something is happening there, we get the effect, whether we are part of the problem or not.
Yeah, whether you are part of the problem, but are you part of the problem of the war?
We are not, but you get affected from the war because we are interdependent.
Okay. Now you are going to second tier of globalization. But the real globalization of which affects a national threat, a global threat, is the globalization that is at the United Nations, Miriam. Look at it. These are countries that are supposed to give a good example to the whole world, because they make a decision. If Russia comes up and says we veto the presence of this and that and that, America will abide and not go. If America stands up and say we veto, we don't want aircraft to fly to this place, Russia will come up, we said we second, it's okay. Now, if that apex is broken down, what are the effects of globalization? How does globalization work in other spheres when we have already broken up at the table, the altar of international relations? The altar of international relations is the United Nations. And at the altar of international relations is like the Supreme Court. If Russia takes hot air to the Supreme Court and the hot air bans the court, then we have a problem. There is no more globalization anymore. The unity of hot air brought by America supporting Ukraine, not facing the truth, has banned the globalization circus, which is causing a global threat. Aircrafts are being, fertilizer is not coming, grain, wheat is not coming, people are suffering because of the bread cannot be affordable, oil prices have hiked. Miriam, that is the context in which I'm asking.
And those are two separate matters, and your explanation, Doc, is perfect.
And I'm not talking about the other one you are. I'm not talking about the other one you are
talking. The actual definition of globalization. But you've answered very well the first part of our topic, Doc. Fantastic. The return of Cold War and the threats to global security.
Listen, Miriam, listen, my sister.
Yes.
Listen. The meaning of globalization is what happens in Afghanistan touches us in Uganda. Because Americans, when they left in the morning with their pajamas in their feet, they brought Uganda, Afghanistan in the port, them in Kampala. Uganda took Afghanistan. Can Uganda explain to us these terrorists who might have come to our country, who are bombing us, who could bomb us today? Because I don't want to talk about Kenya. Doesn't that affect an ordinary Uganda?
It does.
Amen.
But the war at the United Nations Security Council. That's a
separate the two. I agree with you on the meaning of. Hey, whoa.
We are saying the same thing now.
No, I have just come back to what you want me to say.
We are speaking.
You want me to tell you?
We are speaking the same thing. We're just using different.
No. We are speaking the same thing, yes. But you are tackling me and tackling my brain.
No. Your brain is perfect. It is you.
You're tackling my brain. Yeah. Wait. These guys airlifted Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Poured them in our region. Nobody has told us where these Afghanistans have gone.
Good question.
Some of them would be the terrorists stealing our identity cards and stealing identity cards of other nations, and they are now bombing us in the DRC Congo. Why did the Kenya government say now chunga identity card yako when you are traveling? Hey! Aterere! I'm leaving you there. I don't want to touch Kenya. I am asking a question. Why is the Kenya government issuing an alert about the theft of identity cards? Because Afghanistans were poured in our country. We don't know how many came, how many arrived, who are terrorists, who are not terrorists. Where are they? What are they doing? Are they mixing with the population? Are they in the refugee camp? Who is counting them on a daily basis? Is that not a global threat? You transfer people from somewhere and pour them. Now we are transferring people from Britain and delivering them to Rwanda.
It's a global security matter. You're right.
It's a global security threat. You don't know the people you are airlifting are going to destroy Kagame's Rwanda. Why can't we keep them some and trace their DNA? Because there are machines that can now measure DNA, whether you're a thief. It can tell you that guy has hormones or traits of being a thief. You can steal your pajama while you are sleeping or your wallet. Yes, Britain is an advanced country. It has the technology to detect who is a bad person. Have you asked yourself why you fly from Africa and as soon as you touch the British airspace and you ring 999, the ambulance or the police will arrive in your place without asking you where you are? I'm keeping quiet. Can you reach Kenya and as you are landing at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and ring 991?
We actually the
person will ask you, where are you?
We have improved.
No, wait.
Kenya is not that bad, Doc. President Kenyatta really worked on improving on such technologies.
Yeah, he improved. I have no problem.
Yes.
But reach Uganda, let's live in Kenya.
Yes.
Let's reach my country and ring 9999. Someone is cutting my leg. The ambulance lady will say, which part of the leg has been cut? Hey. And I will even go further to ask you, are you crying? Are you crying? How much louder are you crying? I swear in the name of God, we still have a problem. So if that globalization you are meaning, whether the 99 affects the person in Bangladesh, I don't know.
No, that's not the one I'm meaning.
So why is it that we don't have uniform global systems that can help all of us? Why should you create? You see, you kill Muammar Gaddafi. Previously, to make a telephone call from Nairobi, your trunk call is taken to Indian Ocean. There is a center there that connects your call now near Mauritius, down there. Then from down there, the call is redirected to United Kingdom. And Miriam, didn't you see the red telephone booths in Kenya?
Mm-hmm.
At least for us, who we used to have those red booths and line up with our coins in order to reach our best loved ones or the worst loved ones. So there are two categories: less loved ones and the best and the bad, ugly, the dangerous people who now kill their husbands while they are sleeping. Anamufunja, anamuua. Yet you have produced children with the money there. Then unamuua. What type of life is that? Globalization also?
That is violence.
You kill a person. You see? That is the type of life that we are not interested in. Thank you very much. If that is globalization, Wanda, take us through it.
You know, what at times I find...
Because Miriam, before you start, Miriam says, agrees, brings the meaning of... brings the meaning of globalization. Independence.
Yes.
What happens? I have asked serious questions that we brought Afghanistans and they were offloaded in Uganda. Are they still in Uganda or they are all gone somewhere?
Who is the Minister of Interior? We need to
No, I don't want... No.
We need to find out.
Where are they in Uganda? They came quietly at night. They have resettled in the community, or are they going to infiltrate Congo and start bombing people by stealing people's identity cards? The bomber who bombed a church in DRC Congo was traveling on a stolen identity card of somebody who was in Kenya. It has caused xenophobia there, and the people are telling President Uhuru Kenyatta to leave Congo because there's a Kenyan, allegedly, who is not a Kenyan. But the media has hyped it up that he was a Kenyan, but yet he stole the ID. Could he be one of the Afghanistan? We have, because of global situation. I rest my case.
You see why globalization is not dead now? Because of the global situation, we could be dealing with a different matter, Doc. Wanda, go ahead.
You see, Miriam is pushing me. The more I want to be quiet about, I have asked Miriam.
But you're making a very strong case.
Wanda, I have made my case very clear. I have said, where is globalization in the United Nations Security Council? Two members are quarreling on the table, fighting each other with the latest missiles. One of them is buying giving money to Morocco to buy the latest tanks that can walk into Moscow. Where is globalization?
Mm-hmm.
Is it not a threat?
In fact, when you look at the United Nations Security Council, then you can clearly confess and say there is no globalization at that level. Because when you look at the United Nations Security Council, then you try to look into the representation and the underrepresentation based on at the continental level, the national level, then you will wonder the kind of globalization. Because when you talk of globalization, and we'll probably look at the definition, the understanding of it, the interconnection, the interdependent, how people or nations depend on each other. Then you try and look at the United Nations Security Council. You look at an end like UK. That is Europe. It's having more than one nation. Then you look at the continent now, like Africa. Then you find out that it's missing. And therefore, when you look at the United Nations Security Council, it is true to confirm that, or to argue out and say that globalization at that stage, it's equal to dead, or close, or it is in the coma. It might die any moment. Now, when you look as well the case of Africa, I wish our brother was here when he was mentioning the Gaddafi thing. I wish he was in so that I present this when he's right here with us. I don't know why Africans, whenever the rest of the world want to pinch them or to pin them down, they easily take a narrative when their persons are blackmailed and tagged very serious names, very serious. I mean, they'll even be baptized as dictators, then they'll embrace it. They tagged Robert Mugabe as a dictator, then so many persons believed in it. They even tagged Mandela a dictator. And I'm sure if Mandela never warned the 94, then probably transformed the nation, tried to bring together the whites and the blacks, chances are some quarters still in Africa could have believed that through the Mhutu or Sizwe, that is the spirit of the nation, that indeed Mandela was a dictator. And the same thing happened with Gaddafi, that they first painted him as a dictator, then our people embraced it. So after doing that, they'll easily come in with the blessings of our own people, the support of our own people. Then they kill one of our own. Then, they walk out and go. Therefore, at the center of all this, that globalization, with the way it is, with how people interact or integrate, I've always failed to understand how globalization only picks the positive end and affect positively the rest of the world. But when it comes to Africa, in its being there, only affects majorly the negative part. That's what I've never understood. That when you go into the food security aspect, then we are talking about the GMO, and the GMO probably is coming in to kill the indigenous or the local crops of Africans, the crop production that was African. But you talk about the security aspect, then the globalization the United Security Council will come in, will have the Security Council organs there, but they will not address the challenges that are happening in CAR, that is, the Central African Republic. They will not address the effects, the security issues in DRC Congo. They will not address what we are having in Ethiopia, Tigray. But at the center of all this, why is it that globalization only affects us negatively? Then why is it that globalization has failed to get global at the United Nations Security Council? Why are we being underrepresented at that stage? Miriam.
That's a very good question, and I'm with you on that, and I'm joining Doc on that too. And I think it's about time that this was reviewed. The permanent 5 membership at the Security Council was granted to these 5 states based on their importance in the aftermath of World War II. But the world has since changed. So a lot of things have changed and a lot of issues have come up and a lot of countries have also become stronger. So I think it is about time that perhaps the rest of the world pushed for inclusion in the permanent seat, and that is something that now should be, the voices that are calling on this should be more vocal. And any voice that has tried calling on that in this continent, they've tried to silence. Gaddafi and then Mugabe also was very vocal on that matter. You saw he became an enemy to the West because that is something that they don't want, because the P5 is meant, like Doc was giving an example, 3 members, all of them now involved in this current Cold War that is ongoing. So who is supposed to bring order to the world? So the way it is constituted, it is not serving the world. It is not serving the interest for the rest of us here in the continent and other places that are not represented. It is serving the interest of these few there, and it has become a platform of world politics where proxy wars are played in the United Nations Security Council, and the main purpose now, they deviate from it, because if one of the members there, United Nations was formed, one of the key mandates is to maintain world peace and security, but one of the members is the one that is now perpetrating and is on an offensive, Russia, and it's a permanent member. So where is this world peace and security? What are we talking about? So I agree with you. There's a lot of hypocrisy in how the UN is run, and it has become a club of the mighty elite countries, and the rest of us are just sitting there as spectators. So there's no global representation, and I totally agree in that regard. And I think we have to keep talking, otherwise it's not serving our interest. That's how I've always felt in this continent. The UN is not really serving our interest at all. At all. We're just there as flower girls. When Kenya has an unpermanent seat, we don't even have a voice. Whatever we bring up, it will be vetoed by any of those 5 members. So we have to look at the structure of the United Nations. If at all, the UN has to meet its main objective. But as it is right now, I think it is a place where we see a lot of power plays, power controls, a lot of proxy wars, and a lot of other issues and settling of scores. That's what they do up there. That at the end of the day, we don't get to benefit. So I totally agree with your sentiments in that regard and what Doc already had said there earlier. So I think we're just left to ourselves.
Thank you very much, Miriam. It's good you have finally seen exactly why I am bitter about globalization. It is dead. It's a threat. The death of the central point. The central point of a door is the hinges. If the hinges are gone, then there is no door. We don't have we can't practice globalization when America and Russia are hitting each other in Ukraine. We should solve globalization issue first. Through globalization, we should bring the 2 countries on table and ask what is making us fight. We haven't done that. Why is Russia and America not calling Ukraine to order? And they say, let's sit down and find out how will the smaller countries that pick up arms and they invade another country, what will America say about it? We are creating a very bad precedent. So for me, this topic was very important. I look forward to seeing you this evening, Miriam, at least to come in to help me to co-host a bit for a half an hour, 1 hour. Don't forget there will be a very, very brain-draining exercise tonight on DRC Congo. Is it fate? Is it minerals? Is it ethnicity? Is it external dark forces? There you are. Wanda cannot fail to see this one tonight. It is one of the best of the best. And thank you very much. Stephen will be relaying it live later in our studios in Nairobi. From London, for me, let me do a takeaway as Miriam goes to do other things for now. Takeaway. Globalization was meant to create interdependence of states within the states, around the states, with the states, and without the states. But today, the question of globalization has been diluted, reduced, eroded. The credibility has gone out of the window. When you look at the war in Ukraine, which has brought the polarization of the world into several parts, the creeping back of the Cold War that we saw in the 60s, where the West would not meet the East, is something that we must condemn. But why is it that the members of the United Nations Security Council, the 5 permanent members, among them that are supposed to uphold globalization, that are supposed to uphold security under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Security Council, a threat to peace anywhere in the world is a threat to the international community? Why has Russia and America allowed the Ukrainian issue to boil up to threaten the international peace that we have had? The answers can only be got from these 2 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. They have a chance to sit on table. They have a chance to call each other. They have a chance to say, where did we go wrong for this war in Ukraine to end? But to me, from my end, I see the dangers of these Security Council permanent members taking sides and cheering each other as the world slumps into a very serious economic slump that we have never witnessed before. The cost of living, the cost of crude oil going up. We have a problem here. We are leading to an economic recession, food scarcity, price escalation, rocketing to the highest in each country. Are we heading for uprisings in Africa because of these factors that are very far from our continent? Why is it that members of the United Nations Security Council, who are permanent members, who are supposed to control peace under Chapter 7, they don't want to sit down and look at each other and say, let's stop this war? Is this war necessary? The answer is no. Is this war threatening global security? The answer is yes. Is there a way to find an end to this war? It is a question that lingers and continues to linger among international agencies and nations of the world. I therefore rest my microphone by saying, whichever way you want to believe it, the return of the Cold War is here. If you are supporting America on Ukraine, you are the darling of the West. If you disagree with America on Ukraine, you are termed a communist and a Russian sympathizer. Are we caught up in a web of deceit that there are weapons of mass destruction, there are weapons of this, of that, but yet we don't produce these weapons after we have invaded the countries, that we have dismembered countries like Libya, Iraq, and others that were supposed to have weapons of mass destruction? How long can the world see, wait, and watch while this goes on, is my question. Thank you very much. This was the Matsanga's Global Trends from London. Cheers.
Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you.